Hi, this is Bill Kearns from Blue Kernel IT. This video is a summary video of coming presentations on Academic Test Demo. Academic Test Demo is an application that's written for student-teacher relationship where there would be a student who needs to take a test that was administered by a teacher. The reason I wrote this application the way I did is because I've known quite a few teachers and I've found that they use a lot of social media, YouTube, images from the web, audio soundtracks, different things like that while they're in the classroom, but they still receive low test scores. So part of the reason I wrote this application is so that a teacher would be able to utilize the social media they use during study time also in a test. So here I have folder structure as a quick introduction. There's 5 projects highlighted here. Academic Serializer is a DLL project shared between them. Academic Test Demo is an ASP.NET website used to administer the test as the student could log on and actually take the tests. Academic Test Demo Client is a client for the teacher to use when they're not at the job site. They could download the client on any computer or tablet with an internet connection. This is written in WPF, so it can utilize all the new WPF functionality. The tablets use cell phones, newer cell phones that are hybrids, etc. This Academic Test Demo endpoint sits in the background. It's a WCF web service using the HTTP binding. And this Academic Test Demo Student Portal is an MVC4 application. I integrated some reports and the ORM entity framework functionality to demo that functionality. So these 5 projects together from a technical standpoint are called an N-tier application, meaning that the endpoint shares functionality from the database or what have you along with the serializer, and that any project written could utilize this functionality. So to demo what the project does, or the projects, the solution, I have my WCF endpoint opened here. I'm hosting it, which by the way there will be a separate video on each one of these where I go into the code, talk about some of the code I wrote, the options I used and why, and different technologies and so forth. But this video is just the presentation functionality. So here I have the endpoint is open, which is good. Here I have the WPF client. This is what a teacher would use to create a test, edit a test, save a test, export a test, etc. So I'm going to go to File, Edit Test. Here I have my test creator. The whole point of having the client is that teachers could work on files that are not within the work domain. So if you notice there's export, which would save it to a database. There's Open Local, which opens a file that you could edit locally, save the file, work on the file. If you didn't have an active internet connection, you could save it and then export it later when you did. Or there's Open Remote. And this functionality will open the test through the web service and save and exit. So I'm going to open Local. Here I have a test instances file. It's an XML file. We're not worried about that. And here is a test that I wrote. You can page through. Notice there's a question, and then there's 4 answers for each question, and an optional hint. So, assuming all this was done and the teacher wanted to share a video, the teacher could click here, or in any box, click Insert from Web. I'm going to choose Video. My windows keep opening on the other screen. And I'm going to copy paste the video URL in. Anything that ends in MP4 could be used, or YouTube provides links you can use. And I'm going to do Alt Game Video. So I'm going to insert that. This inserts the HTML, which will be used later during test taking time. Assuming everything else is finished here, the teacher could export the test, which first I'll show my database. I Don't have anything saved in my serialized tests, and I will present the database later. File, export. That would call the endpoint, export the file, and here is the file binary data. So just to be sure it did, I'm going to exit. I'm going to file, edit test, and open remote. And here's the test I was working on. So assuming a teacher had created a test, uploaded it, etc., I'm going to go to the ASP.NET application. I'm going to log in as the student role. And I'm going to start taking the test. And here is my video, a little bit of R&R on a game presentation. And as you can see, you can page through the rest of the questions save. There is intermediary saving, so if you were partially through a test and your browser window would close, or you would lose power, every time you click forward or backward, it actually saves what you have finished in the test. And here's some of the other questions. So I'm going to go ahead and close this window. As far as tracking statistics, I have the MVC website. This website serves two purposes. First, I'll sign in as a teacher. And here I can work with the database tables I've exposed, assuming a teacher wanted to upload a new test. We'll call it HTML5, and fill in some of these options. And for our class HTML, create. And here we have our new test, HTML5. So if I sign in as a student, I wrote some basic functionality. Here I have a Tablix report. I'll present the underworkings of this report later. It's a cube report, and it queries several tables. It's a very comprehensive report. It shows the test scores, the class average for a particular test, the student average, which student average, and just about every permutation of data you could think of. Here's the class, C# polymorphism for the entire class, the class average. And this data includes some retakes, since the test can be retaken, retake average. So before I end this video and go into the other videos where I present the code, I wanted to point out that this type of functionality, where a user has the option of including anything from the web to be used by a client or someone else, is heavily Web 2.0. You know, a lot of people and companies are developing their software to utilize the new Web 2.0 functionality. Could be anything from Facebook, YouTube, etc. It also could be anything because it's an end-tier application. Rather than this client being a test editor, it could be anything. It could edit healthcare records, tax information, account information, anything at all. But anyway, I'll get into some of the functionality later. Thanks for your time. This is Bill Kearns from Blue Kernel. Take care.